yesterday I was having lunch with Mr. Mohan, and we were talking about how big Ireland is and how big Malaysia is. And Mr. Mohan turned to me and he said, "Anthony, we are just a small country, only 30 million people." And I said, "Mr. Mohan, Ireland is 3 million people, 90% less people than you have. I made TOT last Friday with 3 million prospects." So for all of you out there, the best financial advisors in Malaysia, you have 30 million prospects. Go out there and see these people. Today, I want to share some ideas with you, which I know work for me. I also want us to start thinking about our business, how we can improve and motivate ourselves to go global and achieve new heights in performance. I'm also going to introduce you to my story and how the number 143 literally changed my life. But more about that later. During my 15 years as a financial advisor, I've come to the firm belief the pencil or the pen is our strongest ally when we deal with our prospects or clients. All of us have excellent communication skills. The fact that we are all here is proof enough of that. But the ability to use our pen and paper effectively is also an important skill. And the top producers in this room will agree with me that one doesn't come without the other. So today I want to share with you some simple picture painting selling tips. These pictures are ones that I use constantly. I know they help me get my message across, but sometimes it allows me to say nothing. It lets the client digest the picture and make their own conclusion about what I want them to do. Ultimately, the goal is for the client to break the silence and ask us, what's the solution to this? So our agenda for this session is very simple. I'm going to share with you sales tips and ideas in conjunction with pictures to help us get our point across. Now, these ideas have been developed through listening to people like yourselves, to some of our colleagues, and also some of my own, which I think works for me. But I guarantee you that by the end of our session today, you'll be able to use at least 2 of these ideas in your own practice to help convert more prospects to long-term clients. My first picture is one that I use to explain to a client what I do for a living. I don't use it every time, but when I feel I must get my point across. See, many clients have preconceived views about us and the work that we do. Some people think we are there to sell them something. Others have the incorrect opinion that we only want to serve ourselves. So one of the most important things we do at our first client or prospect meeting is introduce what we do for our clients. That is, we act on their behalf. We put plans in place to protect and preserve wealth and the standards of living. Has anyone in this room ever heard of the concept icebergs and lifeboats? It was a term that I learned from an MDRT colleague of mine called Bruce Etherington. Now, Bruce used this concept to explain to a client what we do. I think it's a fantastic concept, and all I've done is put it into a picture. So let me explain how I introduce this to our clients, those who I feel need further clarification on what we do. So our financial journey, Mr. Client, from the day we are earning, is analogized as a boat in a sea iceberg-infested waters, much like the Titanic. So I explain that icebergs will float from side to side across our bows, and some of us will never hit them. Sometimes, however, one of these icebergs will hit us, And the impact on our lives depends totally on how big it is, and whether it has the potential to sink us financially. Then I point to the iceberg that's dead ahead. It's locked in place, and it's not going anywhere. We can't avoid it because this is our retirement iceberg. And it is definitely going to hit every one of us. Now, the biggest iceberg of them all doesn't move across our route. It remains along our route. It may take us 90 years to catch up with it, but sometimes it catches up with us way too soon. This iceberg, Mr. Prospect, is death. So what about me? What's my role in all this? Well, I'm the not-so-little guy at the top of the lookout. And my job on your behalf is to make sure that you and your family are going to be okay if any of these icebergs hit you. And also for those icebergs that are definitely going to hit you. I am your lifeboat provider. Now, when I first heard Bruce talk about this, I was astounded. What a great analogy, and when I knew that, I had to put it into a picture, because clients always remember a picture. Do you think that the captain of the Titanic, if they could go back to that day in 1912, would ensure that they had enough lifeboats on board? Because, as I'm sure you're aware, Mr. Prospect, none of us are unsinkable. So let's move on. I'm going to show you a combination of pictures that I use to make clients who have little or no protection actually see for themselves the risk they are taking. Now, I call these pictures the greatest asset, the circle of unique standard of living, and the domino effect. The greatest asset. This picture is built as I'm having a conversation with a client. So on a piece of paper, I will put them at the center of the page. I will ask them about their business, about their income, and I will include that in the picture. So in this instance, let's say they have a business and earn a salary or an income of $100,000. I will then ask them how many staff do they employ and the company turnover, and I will add that in. Now I will ask the client, what does he or she spend their income on in pursuit of their standard of living? So here's an example of a typical answer. They will spend their money on insurance, on holidays, fuel, bills, food, gym, country club, clothes, etc. And I will write each of these down around the center client. Now, I tell the client that this picture is unique to them. It is their unique circle of standard of living. No one else has this circle. And I ask them, are we sure we've included everything? Once my client agrees, we will move on to the greatest asset. So the next question I ask is this: Mr. Prospect, Mrs. Prospect, I want you to point or just tell me on the page in front of you, what is your most valuable asset in monetary form? Now think about it. What is your most valuable asset in monetary form? Now 90% or more of my clients, and yours will, I'm sure, will tell you that their most valuable asset is their home or their business. And this is exactly what I want them to say, because now we can go to work. Once the client has identified that maybe the house or business is his or her greatest asset, we need to make them see differently through asking the correct questions and manipulating the picture to reflect the answers. So remember, the whole purpose of this picture is to make the client realize for themselves that the greatest asset now and in the future is themselves. We cannot tell them this. They have to see it for themselves. So I repeat one question as I point to the various parts of the circle. So I will ask them, Would the business exist without you? No. So we start crossing off with a big X. Would your income exist without your business? No. We start crossing off. Would the house or payments on the house exist without you? No. Would you enjoy 2 holidays a year without you and your ability to run your business and your income? What's the answer, please? No. No. The penny is dropping in the mind of the client. So I now keep going, and within a very short period of time, I've crossed everything off the list. Well, maybe except for the kids. So I let the picture in front of them digest. And when the time is right, I will ask my first question again. Mr. Mrs. Client, can I ask you my first question again? What on this page is your greatest financial asset? And they will now change their answer. And they'll say, me. So if anything stopped you from earning an income, or indeed if you died, looking at this page now, what are you thinking? Well, by this time, the client has seen for themselves what life would be like for themselves or their family without income. So the client should now be asking you for solutions. By the way, this circle of standard of living is also very effective for pension or retirement planning. All you have to do is change the question slightly. But the impact on seeing all the items around their name being crossed off due to no retirement income is just as effective.